myself Dr. Suraj Mathew, working as a principal in School of Health Sciences, Nursing in RIMT University, Mandi, Gobindgarh. Today we are going to discuss about the counseling community. So, counseling in today's world, it is very important to have a counseling session. Counseling not only meant for the vocation or professional counseling, it is meant for the personal problems also. So many problems can be solved through the counseling. Now, coming to the introduction, the counseling is a scientific process which is largely accepted by many of us. Whether it is a vocational guidance or coping with the personal trauma, counseling using surely make it easy for us to seek the professional guidance. As I have explained earlier also, vocational guidance is also important and it can be taken through the counseling. And personal problem, there are so many problems, like a teenager, they have so many problems, or most of them they show the depression. So, the counseling is very important for the personal traumas. Then this can be a therapy session or a generally programmed technique to overcome the problem. This is like a therapy. The counselor, they do the counseling not only in a one session, but they need a more than 5 or 6 sitting also. That depends upon the condition of the client or the problems of a client, how much it is solved or not solved, and generally programmed technique to overcome the problems. So, this is a counseling is a technique to overcome the problems. Then therapy may be recommended and regular visit would be required so that the root cause is identified. So, this is done to identify the main cause of a depression, main cause of a problem. So, that is why their sittings are required. Then important value of a counseling. So, the important value of counseling is human right and dignity is maintained of a client, then supporting and elevating the personal distress. So, if the person is in distress, the counselor support the person and try to elevate the personal problem of that client. Then appreciating the difference in culture and human experience and remaining non-judgmental. So, we should not be, or as a counselor we should not be a judgmental. Okay, we have to listen to the problem skillfully and then only decide with the client. Then providing the adequate counseling service which ensuring the integrity of client counselor relationship. Okay, so, if there is a good IPR between the client and the counselor, then the problem can be solved very easily. Okay. Otherwise, it will take so much time to identify the problem and to reach up to the root cause of a problem. Then maintaining the client confidentiality and ethical principle. This is very important to maintain the confidential. If the client shares their personal problem or some of the thing which he could not share with the parents or with the any other person. So, we have to maintain, as a counselor we have to maintain the confidentiality. Now, coming to the types of counseling, it is mainly 2 types, full directional or you can say the directive counseling, and next is no direction or you can say non-directive counseling. Directive counseling is a process of listening to the member's problem, deciding with the member what should be done, then encouraging and motivating the person to do it. So, in this we have to just listen patiently to the client, so he can ventilate all the problems, and then afterwards the counselor will encourage the person and motivate the person to do the right thing. Then this type of counseling accomplish the function of advice, which it may reassure, give emotional release and to minor extent clarifying the thinking. So, this type of directive counseling will help and which will assure the client and give emotional support, and person feel very relaxed after, or release his tension after ventilating the problem with the client. Then if the counselor is a good listener, then the member should experience some emotional release. Means the client or the person to whom we are counseling, he will experience a very relaxed, mentally he feel relaxed after ventilating the problem, after discussing with the counselor. So, as a result of the emotional release plus ideas that the counselor imparts, the member may be clarified thinking. So, now coming to the non-directive counseling. Non-directive or the client centered, it is a client centered or the patient centered. Counseling is a process of skillfully listening to the counselee, encourage the person to explain bothersome problem. Bothersome problem means the problem which he feels he could not solve it personally or alone or with the help of other also. So, we have to ask that problems and helping him or her to understand those problems and determine the course of action. Then only the course of action or the plan of action can be implemented after listening to the client. So, this type of a counseling focus on the member rather than on the counselee as a judge and advisor, hence it is a client center. So, this type of a counseling is a client centered or the patient center. So, this type of counseling is used by the professional counselor, but non-professional may use its technique to work more effectively with the service members. So, the professional also can use, even the non-professional person also can use this type of a counseling technique. Then this unique advantage of a non-directive counseling in its ability to cause the member to reorientation. It is a stress changing the person instead of dealing only with the immediate problem in the usual member of a directive counseling. Means it is not only release the immediate problem, but it will help in the future also. Now coming to the qualities. So, in this the main quality is of a counselor is believe you. Okay, counselor also believe you and the client also believe, then only he can express his views, his ideas, his problem. Then next is share the information about the process of counseling and change. So, this is a responsibility of a counselor to share all the information regarding the counseling process, like how many sittings are required and how many times he has to come for the counseling. Then fully respect your feeling, beliefs and values. So, we need to respect the feeling of the client and his beliefs also and his values also. Then acknowledge the gender, culture and religious differences. Then encourage you to do the things that you feel are helpful in your healing journey. Okay, encourage you to build the relationship support outside the counseling by connecting with the supporting and respectful people and the group. So, this will give you a courage also. So, you can connect with the other people and other groups also. So, this will offer you the new skill to help you and move towards your goal. So, this counseling will help the client to move towards ahead and try to reach their goals. Then invite your feedback regarding the way in which the counseling is not helpful. So, next point, it make it easy for you to discuss any concern you have about the counseling. Okay. So, in this you can clarify, the client can clarify the doubts regarding the counseling, then not force as or pursue you into doing anything you do not want to do, assist you in deciding when counseling is over. So, this counseling session will help the client to come to the conclusion and the decision about the deciding what, for example, it is for the vocational. So, he can decide after this. Okay, then some other qualities are the personal integrity, genuineness, warmth and responsiveness, and very important is a listening. The counselor should be a very good listener, because we have to listen the client problem, not only speaking or advising, but we have to listen him very carefully and skillfully. Then counseling community. Community counseling is a form of counseling in which a different counselor work with the families, individual, couples and also community in one or the other way. This is in community. Community we can talk with the families, individual also, and even the couples also in the community. So, community counseling is generally conducted to prevent the problem and assist in setting prevention program in different communities. Prevention program means we can teach the person, like nowadays the COVID is very popular. So, regarding that prevention also we can teach the community and counsel the community. Then the community counselor also advocate different social changes to assist their patients and client at a large. Okay, in a group also, in large group also we can do the counseling. Then community counseling is actually a different form of counseling in which not only the people are taught about the different rights or the wrong things, but they are also shown the right way, so they can live their life peacefully and happily. Then now coming to the different setting where we can conduct this type of a session, where we can conduct the counseling, in school also, in hospitals also, in the family service, mental health agencies, private industries and business, behavioral health sciences agencies including the evaluation, training and abuse program, insurance company and private practices. So, these are the common settings where we can conduct the counseling sessions. Then pitfall in helping. There may be pitfall, or you can say the drawbacks of a counseling. Number one is a preaching or moralizing. Sometimes the counselor just start preaching the person and that person try to follow that. Then evaluating and criticizing. Sometimes they criticize some of the problems, some of the points of a counselor. Then sympathizing. Then counselor sometimes started sympathizing the person, not paying the attention. Sometimes if he is busy or he has something in his mind, he does not pay the full attention to the client's words. And kidding and teasing. And kidding and teasing is sometimes it is a very hurting for the client. Then continue with the why question. So, we should never start with the why, what happened, why this is. So, sometimes this causes a problem to the client. Then looking away means eye to eye contact is very important. If you are not looking at the person, he feels he is neglected. Then watching the clock means he wanted to go away, that is why he is continuously in between also during the talk also started watching. Then forgetting and restless, the counselor start very restless, so that gives an uncomfortable feeling to the client. Then walking away, in between walk away, then being hurried, not caring. So, these are the main pitfall of a counseling. So, what counseling is, at the end we can say it is establishing helping relationship, okay, between the client and the counselor. Then having conversation that have a purpose, and listening attentively, so what a client has to say, then giving correct and appropriate information. So, counseling is not telling client what to do, because we are no one to take the decision for the client, it is a client who has to take the decision. Then making decision on behalf of the client, and we are not supposed to, as a counselor, not supposed to take the decision. let the client take the decision, give him options only, then judging or blaming, and counseling is not a judging the client, then interrogating or looking for the fault. Thank you. That is all about this counseling the community in nutshell.